Okay, thanks everyone, and welcome one and all to the Planning and Consultation Committee tonight, the 9th of September 2025. Members of the public are advised that the meeting will be live streamed and recorded, and the live stream recording will be made publicly available on YouTube and Council's website. Next agenda item is the acknowledgement of country. Nillumbik Shire Council respectfully acknowledges and recognises the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung as the traditional owner of the land on which Nillumbik is located. We pay tribute to all First Nations people living in Nillumbik Shire, give respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respect to all First Peoples. We acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Apologies, leave of absence. We've got a full council here tonight. Declarations of conflict of interest. Councillor Cope.
I intend to disclose a conflict of interest in the consultation matter, roadside management plan.
Thank you, Councillor Cope. Next is a confirmation looking for a mover and potentially a seconder to confirm the minutes of the Planning and Consultation Committee meeting held on the Tuesday 12th of August this year.
Happy to confirm those minutes. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Joyner. Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I will second.
Thanks, Councillor McKay. If there's no discussion, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? None? Unanimous in favour. Thank you. And we'll move on to the first item, which is PCC 1525, Planning Scheme Amendments, C143 Eltham Activity Centre and C114 NIL, the Diamond Creek Activity Centre, and we're here to listen to the submitters. There's a total of 2 submitters listed tonight. The first is Sue Dyett, who's the Secretary, and she's speaking on behalf of the Eltham Community Action Group Incorporated. Please step forward, Sue, and welcome.
Evening, everyone. Eltham Community Action Group is glad, or is it relieved, that Eltham and Diamond Creek Major Activity Centre plan documents have reached this stage in a rather long, drawn-out process. You're the third council to be having involvement with this document. I believe that's a little longer than an elephant's gestation period. However, we are pleased that Council and Council staff have taken note of community concerns and have made changes to previous versions to give clarity and more definite statements. It is a pity that more people did not offer comment recently, but maybe people think that they had commented on it and it was a previous version. We understand that more work is to be undertaken concerning the Eltham light industrial area, which is also in the main EMAC central area, and hope that Nillumbik Council is able to submit the EMAC document in 2 sections. State government processes are lengthy too, and the proposed state government's housing targets theoretically should be in play before too long, and a gazetted EMAC document would be invaluable at that time. ECAG thanks all the staff who've been involved in producing this document, and their work will influence how our major activity centre will look and operate for many years after they have left. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Sue. Does any councillor have any questions of Sue?
Sue, is there any particular aspects of this document that you find that are an improvement?
Oh, yes. That there is more precision, that there is, and this isn't to Dorothy Dix, I didn't know he was going to ask me, but I thought I'd put them in there and then I thought, no, I'd take them out. Also that the colours are more specific And I hope that the little phrase that has often crept into planning decisions, where the colours are suggested and then the two words "or similar" won't be part of the lexicon in the future, because "or similar" means all bets are off. And there was a third, setbacks. The setbacks in the main activity centre are now more rigorously specified, which is good.
Thank you. If there's no other questions of Sue, thank you very much, Sue. Thanks for coming out tonight. Our next speaker is joining us via Zoom. Gilla Schnapp, can you hear us? Now, Gilla might be having a bit of technology issues, but she is in the waiting room, so we'll wait until we get Gilla up. You there, Gilla? Jim, Gilla's coming soon. All right, Gilla, I think we're going to have to move on. It's, can you turn your camera on, Gilla? Or speak? No, we can't hear you. Or see you. Yep. All right, we'll have to move on. So they were the only two submitters tonight. Unfortunately, Gilla didn't make it. She's listed for the next item, and the one after. So we'll see how we go.
Excuse me, through the chair. I've got an urgent, please notify the chair of the committee, due to ill health and as per medical advice, I am unable to present tonight on the three listed agenda items. I will send the information to the council on my three presentations when I'm well enough to do so. Please confirm you have done so. Please also read out my name and property. Please do not read out my name and property names. Apologies. I won't say who sent that in.
Yes, well, get well soon, Gilla, if you can hear us. And yeah, we'll read your submission with interest. All right, so we'll look for a mover and a seconder for a motion relating to this item, councillors. And the Mayor is moving.
I would like to move as per the papers, please, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jurek. And do we have a seconder? Councillor yeah, sorry, Kelly. Councillor Joy. Do you wish to speak?
Yes,
Councillor
thank
Jurek?
you. It's great to see this, the planning scheme amendments, C143 and nil, and C144 nil. As Sue did point out, this has been the elephant in the room since Grant and I were here last time. So I'm glad the gestation period has finally come around. These planning scheme changes represent an important step forward for Eltham and Diamond Creek and the broader Nillumbik community. The amendments are designed to help our townships grow thoughtfully and sustainably. They aim to protect what makes our community special: leafy streets, village atmosphere, strong community connections, while creating opportunities for families, local businesses and residents to thrive. For Eltham specifically, Amendment C143 brings tremendous benefits. Its comprehensive two-part approach The amendments implement in the 2020 Eltham Major Activity Centre structure plan, which sets our vision sets out a 10-year vision and is based on extensive community consultations. Residents have consistently told us they wanted development to better reflect Eltham's heritage, unique landscape settings, and amendments to deliver on that priority. The amendment being split, covering Part A, covering the Eltham Town Centre, Part B, covering the Bridge Street business area, and with A, but focusing on the traditional town centre, and B, addresses the transformation of the Bridge Street area from primary use as industrial area that includes restricted retail, light industry, commercial offices, health and fitness centres, indoor sports, recreation. The structure plan also divides Eltham into 12 distinct precincts, ensuring development is managed appropriately across those areas and provides certainty for residents and businesses and making sure development is appropriate. And it also strengthens guidance within Eltham, requiring new development to employ earthy muted tones and natural building materials to reflect their distinctive character. Importantly, buildings will not be allowed to exceed the predominant tree canopy heights, and in preserving the integration of built form and vegetation within the Eltham area. Diamond Creek also benefits significantly with C144, with stronger urban design guidelines to protect the main street, which will allow for appropriate development. And both amendments introduce a significant landscape overlay, which recognises the areas have distinct characters as defined by integration of buildings and vegetation, particularly tree canopy. The overlays will ensure future developments strike a balance between accommodating growth and preserving our green character. More importantly, they reflected genuine community priorities through years of consultation, as Sue pointed out, and provide a welcomes appropriate growth while keeping our environmental heritage and heritage values and the local character that makes them such desirable places to live. So, as I said, I welcome these and hopefully they will be gazetted in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jumrick. Councillor Joy, you wish to speak? Any other councillor wishing to speak? Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Chair. And look, I just concur with the comments of the Mayor, just some general comments and context around the recommendation. As has been said, the structure plans were in the last months of our council, 16 to 20. So to be here for the next step is kind of interesting. But what we're doing is, or what we'll be doing in 2 weeks' time is incorporate, unless we decide otherwise, is to incorporate the structure plans into the Nillumbik planning scheme. And so that then provides an updated, codified blueprint of how development can be achieved within the activity centres of Diamond Creek and Eltham. I think the incorporation was delayed in the 2024 period because of the many announcements from the state government on housing policy, targets for local government to achieve, penalties for not achieving those targets, and so on. So it was felt to really have a better go at putting this forward once all that was established. And we do know that Nillumbik and Eltham, Diamond Creek and Eltham are not part of the state government's 50 designated kind of activity centres that have been stipulated for higher densities and a relaxation, I'll put it that way, of normal town planning provisions. So what we have got here, and I just want to, I'll speak more about it in 2 weeks' time, but it seems to me that dot point 13 of the officer report is really an important thing, because up the structure plan up until now, you were exempted from, unless height limits or setbacks were exceeded in those activity centres, you were exempted from notification and appeal rights that allowed you to go to VCAT. So now, under these structure plans incorporated into the Nillumbik planning scheme, the right to object is codified within the scheme. We all have to note that we have to go through a planning panel for the Diamond Creek, for that to be the case in Diamond Creek, but the planning panel will make a determination about that. But it really, when people say, as they often do, you know, what's different about Nillumbik, what sets you apart from the 31 other cities in Melbourne? Well, I think this is one part now, it seems to me. What we've got is, in the major activity centres of Diamond Creek and Eltham, you have a right to be notified, and a resident is going to have a right to go to VCAT. And that is exactly the opposite direction that all of the state government planning provisions has led to. So that's an important distinction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillor? Just further on the comments from Councillor Brooker, I think he's absolutely right. And you know, there is one objection to the Diamond Creek scheme that will go to planning panel, and we hope and trust that the officers put up the strongest argument possible that, you know, the community certainly generally in Nillumbik wants to retain those third-party appeal rights. You know, the community wants to see applications advertised, particularly in the activity centres, and they want to have the opportunity to submit to those plans and if required, you know, go to VCAT with them as a, you know, third-party appeal right. So there aren't any objections to that happening in Eltham. There's one objection to it in Diamond Creek, and you know, we hope that the officers prevail in terms of their argument to the planning panel, and the planning panel supports the overwhelming community and council desire to have those third-party appeal rights in both activity centres and have some uniformity in terms of the planning scheme in Nillumbik, in that Eltham and Diamond Creek will be treated the same. So with that, thank you, councillors. I'll look to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Against, the motion's unanimous, so it's passed. And we'll move on to the next item. The next item is the PCC 1625, the final draft planning scheme review. We have one submitter, and that is Terry Tovey, who's the president of the Warrandyte Community Association, and Terry speaking on behalf of the Warrandyte Community Association. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks very much, Councillor Perkins and Council, for the opportunity to speak with you about this. Given the limited time, I want to discuss only three key areas tonight. Firstly, there's the issue of illegal vegetation removal throughout the Shire, and particularly in the Green Wedge. The draft notes that there's very strong community support for improved biodiversity and vegetation conservation, yet there are no serious recommendations in relation to this issue. So we want to urge Council to adopt robust vegetation protection guidelines and to develop, or at least advocate for, severe penalties for illegal vegetation. I know it doesn't just depend on the Council, it's a state issue as well. But most importantly, where Council can take some action now, and has the power to take action, it should increase enforcement and monitoring resources for this important area. We think that the current recommendations just to do some planting guidelines completely lack ambition. And if you really want to take the issue of illegal vegetation seriously, you have to do something about improving the level of monitoring and the level of enforcement. The second area I want to address is the matter of the proposed Melbourne Water land disposal in Christmas Hills. Melbourne Water proposes to subdivide into 20-acre lots land which is currently used for grazing, thus turning that land into hobby farms, or basically lifestyle blocks. That'll effectively remove it from agricultural production. Now, the problem here is to subdivide that land in this way is completely contrary to state government policy. The government's policy for rural land near Melbourne is to restrict fragmentation of rural land. And the current draft that you have before you says the council fully supports Melbourne Water's plan. So we want to urge you to reject that aspect of the plan, and we believe that council should draw attention to the government that there is this anomaly with one arm of government proposing something which is completely contrary to recently announced state government policy, and to at least advocate for the land to be zoned Rural Conservation Zone 4, if nothing else, so that the minimum lot size is 100 acres, not 20 acres, so that agriculture can in fact be practiced on that land. And finally, I want to draw your attention to a worrying reference in the section under heading of research in the draft document, which says the review has identified several areas requiring further investigation, one of which is buffer areas along the urban growth boundary. So why do we need buffer areas along the urban growth boundary? And we might ask, what are buffer areas? A recommendation such as that can easily be misused to undermine the integrity of the green wedge, and I'd urge council to ensure that council documents delete all reference to the concept of buffer zones, because it'll just be a mechanism to undermine the green wedge. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Terry, and thank you as well to the Rondout Community Association. You're the one and only submitter, and yeah, it was good work. Made very good points. Does any councillor have any questions of Terry on behalf of the Rondout Community Association?
Yes, a question through the chair. I wonder if potentially someone could explain buffer zones.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor. Through the chair, so in buffer zones we refer to the area particularly located along Yan Yin Road, where there's a very hard difference between the zoning and urban makeup on the Whittlesea side of the urban growth boundary versus what is on the Nillumbik side. So there are some proposals there to investigate if there are opportunities to further do some investigations around what the land use looks like on the Nillumbik side, so there's a greater transition between the two residential, or between the residential precinct and the green wedge.
That would not be extrapolated to other areas or other roads?
There might it could be a broader review along the urban growth boundary, but predominantly that was the main area that warranted further investigation.
Thank you. I have another question actually. Hello. I'm not actually very familiar with the Christmas Hills area. I was under the impression it was like scrub or bush. Is it more pasture? Is it?
Oh, look, that Melbourne Waterland is very varied in its nature. There is plenty of bush, and a lot of the land is going to be part of the wildlife corridor, but there's a significant portion which is currently used for grazing, and Melbourne Water leases that land out. And part of the proposal is for some of it to be rezoned Rural Conservation 3, which means it can be subdivided into 20-acre lots. And once that happens, that land is lost for effective agricultural production. And yet the state government, in its recently released policy on agricultural land within 100 kilometres of Melbourne, said that it wants to ensure that agricultural land is not fragmented. So Melbourne Water is proposing something which is completely opposed to state government policy. So I don't think that this council should fully endorse that proposal. It should address that issue.
Through the chair. Thanks for your submission, Terry. Obviously, well thought out. After hearing the description of the buffer zones, am I right in assuming that your association would see that as sort of death by 1,000 cuts for the green wedge if we start, getting too cute around the edges?
Yes, exactly. I mean, and I was a bit concerned about the officer's comment about it could be a wider review than just those areas that were mentioned in the question, because it'll just become an opportunity to chip away at the green wedge. There may be hard edges at the urban growth boundary between suburban and the green wedge, but I don't think that matters. Those hard edges have got to be kept. If you say you want to introduce a buffer zone, really what you're saying is you want to then diminish the green wedge and introduce more urban activity in the green wedge, and I think that would be a big mistake to go down that path. Yeah.
So Terry, you're calling on council really to, at the next council meeting, 30th of September this year, to delete any reference to buffer zone, you know, if council doesn't support that notion?
Yes, I mean, it certainly, yes, I think it would be better to delete references to buffer zones because I think it just opens up a Pandora's box. I mean, there are effectively buffer zones already. I mean, in the low-density residential areas of Research and Yarrambat and North Warren and so forth are effective buffer zones. They're residential areas abutting the green wedge. So they are effective buffer zones and should be retained as such. But if you want to start diminishing the green wedge to create something called a buffer zone, all you're doing is diminishing the green wedge.
Yeah, thank you, Terry. I'm sure, I'm confident council will move in that direction, but we'll see how we go. If there's no other questions of Terry, I'll thank you for your time, Terry, and, you know, really well worth your time and effort, and to the association as well. We respect and thank you for all your work.
Well,
so we're going to put that...
Thank you for the opportunity.
Good on you. We'll put that motion to the vote, or have I called for a mover? Probably not.
I'll move
so
that one.
Let's look for a mover. Thank you, Councillor McKay.
Yes, thank you. I will move that the submission is received and the council officer recommendations responding to these submissions, and note that the planning scheme review be finalised with any recommended changes from PCC, which we will review. Thank you for coming in. Presented to council for adoption for the end of this month.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker. Do you wish to speak, Councillor McKay?
Not to extent, just to echo Peter. Thank you for coming in, and we value your contribution, and we'll keep working on this document before the end of the month. Thank you.
Councillor Brooker.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thanks for the contribution. I do think I'm similarly concerned about buffer zones, I think, and references to them and references to transitions to buffer zones, I think is a red flag. So it's something to be looked at. But I do think one of the recommendations that I do want to draw attention to is recommendation 6, environmental sustainable development, ESD. It's exploring options to develop and implement local policy for council and the development community to support ESD, environmental sustainable development. I think it might mean design, but it's got development there. I think this is this area where when you make a building, you're trying to make it as energy efficient as possible. When you have a building, you have it for 40 or 50 years. So what you're really wanting to do is to incorporate from the outset those water saving, energy savings, you know, types of things, whether it be double glazing, that type of thing. It is an action in the council plan. It is now an action in the draft planning scheme review. So hopefully, you know, we'll get some material changes to this area. So that would be a focus from the council in both implementing the council plan and in implementing the planning scheme review. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Any other councillor wishing to speak? Look, probably just to echo, you know, the concerns of Terry, and I'm sure the message will go through to officers loud and clear, but buffer zones are possibly not supported by council, certainly not supported by myself or Councillor Brooker. My long history on council has been to essentially make no movement of the urban growth boundary. You know, that flies in the face of what everyone on the wrong side, what they believe is the wrong side of the urban growth boundary want. And, you know, introducing a notion of buffer zones anywhere in the Shire will just open up that can of worms. And, you know, the notion should be deleted, and I'd be very happy for it to be pulled out of the document. And we'll have more conversations before the meeting, and hopefully that'll become an officer recommendation. if not, council have got the ability to perhaps do an amendment and see how that goes. But really do appreciate your submission, and I support what the other councillors have said. So with that, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? And against? It's unanimously carried. Thank you. I'm now step out of the chair and I'll hand over to Councillor Brooker, who's going to chair the consultation matters, or the consultation matter.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Perkins. Look, we'll move straight to the officer reports. We have one item for discussion, the road management plan and the review of submissions. I'm just calling for conflicts of interest on the matter. I think they've been declared. Councillor Cope.
Sorry, may I declare a general conflict of interest on this matter, on the submission process?
Okay, could I invite you to leave the meeting, if that's the case, and I'll invite you back into the meeting at the conclusion of this item. Thank you. Yes, actually, as advised by the Mayor, there is no submitters on this item. Someone has called in sick and unable to submit to the committee. So do I have a mover for the motion?
Yes, I will move the road management plan, please,
And
as per the papers.
Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Dumerick. Councillor McKay.
Yes, hello. This is a very important document that we have put forward. So even though consultation has finished, please go over this document. It's one of our core business, one of the 3 Rs. So first of all, I'd just like to thank the people who took the time to submit. We have read them all with great interest. And I just wanted to basically go through what this document covers for those who haven't read it. So it covers all maintenance standards, all repair and mitigation works and emergency works. And this document covers urban roads, rural roads, footpaths and shared bicycle pathways. And it covers things like inspection frequencies, intervention levels and timeframes. So it's quite thorough. And I would just like to, I know one of the bugbears of the community is potholes, so that is covered in this document, and I just would like to guide people to the final page of the road management plan, which is a map. And it's a map of the Nillumbik Shire, and it outlines 13 roads that are the responsibility of the Department of Transport, or formerly Vic Roads. So if you are having issues with these roads, unfortunately, we're unable to help you. We can help you on all of the other roads apart from these 13 roads. So please be mindful of that when letting us know your grievances with these particular roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Councillor Dumerick.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to echo Councillor McKay's comments on it, on the road management plan. Again, very important document and clearly outlines what residents can expect from council, and I note our open space plan, which will be coming to you soon, which is a similar sort of document. So it really does lay out what service level you can expect, which I think is important, and what is included and what isn't. I'd draw your attention to attachment, the attachments, page 185. which is a service request management system. It sort of shows you the type of process it does go through. And again, I think it's helpful in understanding what the process is and what it can achieve. So I fully support this document. I think these are the types of things that makes it easier for people to understand how council works and exactly what they can expect. So wholeheartedly support it.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point of clarification, and I'm sure that Councillor McKay will agree that it was more misspeaking than a position of beliefs. But of course, we are able to help with advocacy for our very important state government roads, as we saw with our gorgeous, luxurious winding mile now. But we definitely cannot get out on state government roads with a shovel.
Very, very true. Okay. Any other councillors? All right. Look, I just think, this is, as the councillors have said, one of the 3 Rs. Service standards are codified. They're specified in here. That's very important, so we know exactly where we're going. As Councillor Demerek's little diagram, Appendix F on page 185, is actually the process we go through when repairing those potholes, when things are brought to our attention. This comes back to the committee, to the council meeting for adoption in 2 weeks' time. There may be some tweaks in between times from what we haven't had any submitters to that effect, so maybe we'll find something ourselves and going over this document for another couple of weeks. We'll see. That's it. I'll call for a vote. All those in favour of the motion? Okay, that's unanimous. I declare that carried. And I would then have to move through the last parts of the meeting. We have to, just pause for a moment. Before we declare the meeting closed, we have to get Councillor Cope back in the room. Okay, thank you. Well, that's the end of the planning and consultation meeting for this evening. Declare the meeting closed at 7:40. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, members of the gallery. Cheers.